Hey everyone, it's Monica and welcome back to Homeschool Voices. The school year is right around the corner and I want to help you have the best year ever. Today's video is part 2 of how to have the best year ever. And what I want to focus on in this video is not following the public school system. That is a big deal actually. I think that it's super normal to do what we know, and most of us basically know the public school model. That is what education means to us, and that's what it has meant to me for many years. And I think that that's very normal, and I think we don't want to do it because I think the results are horrible. They're horrendous. The average American reads at a 7th or 8th grade level. It is not going to lead to your happiness because you're not going to get the results that you want. You're not going to have a great year because you're going to be frustrated. You're going to spend a lot of time doing things, trying to get information into your kid's head, and it's just not going to stick because it's not relevant to your kids. It's not interesting to your kids. So I'm not even thinking about all the crazy stuff they're teaching in public schools. I mean, that's a great reason not to go into public schools, but the basic model itself is still very lacking. If you had to put your kid into public school, it's better than nothing, but I would say it is far from an ideal structure. So what would be a better structure? I'm going to suggest that you do a literature-based approach. So if you look in the description, you're going to see a planner that I've devised. There are 4 different options. You print 36 for the year. There's some directions in there, some time suggestions. Start there and feel free to morph it into your own thing and create your own sort of guiding principles. But it's a good start if you don't know what else to do. But what I found does not work is trying to predetermine what your kids are going to learn. That is, generally speaking, not going to be successful. Sometimes it is successful. Some people are amazing at making anything interesting. If that's you, you don't need to listen to this video. Seriously, you really are a rock star. I know a couple of people like that. Most of us are not like that. I'm not like that. So what I do is I use this planner. I provide structure. I tell the kids you have to read a certain amount of literature, a certain amount of books that are in the science category, a certain amount of books that are in the history category. And I have a logic category. Within that category, I would include things like politics, law, current events, things like that. So I have requirements for them, but they pick things that they are interested in. So what does that mean? That literally means that if my child wants to learn about the American Revolution for 2 years, that's what my child is going to learn. My daughter last year spent maybe 2/3 of the year learning about human anatomy, and she is still interested, so she is going to continue to do that until it's no longer interesting. She will actually learn a lot, and yes, there's a lot of repetition, but repetition is good when it's something that you want to do, because you're going to remember that stuff. Well, repetition's good anyway, but definitely when you want to do it. So she is still learning that. She's still on the whole, as far as history, learning about African American history, about women in history, things like that. She's still in that focus, but eventually it'll start to branch out. For example, my son for a very, very long time was learning about World War II, and I just let him. He was interested. Why not? Read more and more and more, and now it's starting to branch out though, and he's starting to learn about the Cold War. So it's interesting how it works, but what happens is when you follow that public school model, it is just kind of depressing because your kids don't want to do it. It is just sapped of anything interesting. They do the least amount of work. I'm talking about your average kid, right? If this is not your kid, it doesn't apply to you, right? But it's really for most kids it does apply. They do the least amount of work possible. Then you go and you check the work and it's awful, and you know what, the whole thing is boring to you too, because it's just boring and you don't even have enough energy or enthusiasm to even make it interesting, because half the time it's just not interesting. So don't torture yourself. Check out in the description below, look at some of my suggestions that I have, ask me any questions that you have. But what I would say is break away from the public school model. Read Charlotte Mason's books. The lady, I forget her name, but the lady who wrote the Thomas Jefferson Education books, I believe she has a website. Check her books out. And even John Holt, John Taylor Gatto, start to think about education in a different way. How can you provide structure and discipline and a framework and an environment that is conducive to learning? If your children don't want to learn and they're just not interested in anything, I guarantee you there is something in their environment that is dampening their natural curiosity. Humans are extremely curious, and if your kids aren't curious, there is something in their environment that is causing that lack of curiosity. You need to adjust their environment, and that might take work, and that you might hear a lot of complaining. There might be things that, for example, like TV, video games, maybe even just addicted to their cell phone in general. This doesn't apply to every kid, but it's going to apply to a lot of kids. Certainly some kids. If you're noticing that your kid has just no interest in anything, something's causing it, and you need to address it. So create that nice environment. And whatever you do, don't follow the public school system model, if at all possible. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you have any questions, please ask me those in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please click subscribe and the notification bell next to it. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.